Today, Bruchim Haboim. Welcome everybody to our Shir. This week is Parshas Vaeschanan. Today is also the 15th of Av. Very special day. Lehayu Yom Tevim LeYisrael Chamishas Abov. The Jewish people didn't have such a good days like 15th of Av and Yom Kippurim, especially connected with Shidduchim. So first of all, we are bracha to all the people who need Shidduchim should find the Shidduch easy way, in the right way, and get married and have children and have nachas. The main thing is that can reveal good way in Mashiach now. Okay, so let's start with a little bit with the Parsha. The Parsha starts with the word Vaeschanan, and I beg the Eibishter, Moshe Rabbeinu said, tells the Eden the story, but he's telling them what happened, the whole of history. So first we're giving them account of all the Averis, all the things that they did wrong. And then now he's telling them that he was begging the Eibishter to let him into Eretz Yisrael. And interesting that he's blaming the Jewish people for he's not going into Eretz Yisrael. So Hashem, because of you, Hashem got angry with me. Why? Because they put the pressure on him and he lost his temper. Officially, in simple, it sounds like, and he hit Iraq. He shouldn't have hit Iraq. What are we blaming them? Why did? Anyway, we'll see if we'll get to that. So he asked the Eibishter that he wants to go into Eretz Yisrael. And obviously the Rebbe said no. Then till finally the Rebbe told him enough. Stop asking me. Did he stop or not stop? Normally we learn that he stopped. Even they're saying that if you would ask one more time, Hashem said, okay, if you ask me one more time, you're going to have to stop. And then he stopped. So I say why? And did he want or didn't he want? The Rebbe said he continued to ask. Okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu is asking the Eibishter for 515 times to go into Eretz Yisrael, and the Eibishter is telling him no, they said him stop. Then he tells him, okay, you asked me to see the Eretz Yisrael, so go up to the mountain, you'll be able to see Eretz Yisrael. You'll see the whole of Eretz Yisrael from there. What's the point of seeing? What's the point that you're asking seeing? Now, the question is a very screams for itself. Moshe Rabbeinu, Bechira Nevi'im, the chosen of the prophets. Mashvin Chaviv in the 7th of this, the favored one. He was Moshe Kibul Torah Misina himself, Yeshua. He received the Torah. He took the Nad of Mitzrayim. He gave his life away for the Jewish people again and again and again. And he's asking, pleading with the Eibishter, how could the Eibishter say no? Especially that he says in Parsha itself, the Eibishter Kel Racham V'Chana, is a merciful God. So he's merciful to everybody. How much more for sure to Moshe Rabbeinu? So how could it be that Hashem is saying no to him? And the second question is, why did he say no to him? What is it? Why couldn't he give in to him? He's asking you, did tshuva, I'm sure, doesn't say mention that he did tshuva, just look, as I said, mention that he blamed the Jewish people. But I'm sure he did tshuva. If he had to do tshuva, he had no problem to do tshuva to admit his weakness. And why shouldn't he go into Eretz Yisrael? So obviously it's not so simple. Remember, the bigger question becomes, why didn't they have a meeting and decide, is it good? What is better for Moshe to go into Eretz Yisrael or not to go into Eretz Yisrael? And decide, and based on that, to do that. Why are they not on the same page? He wants to go in, and the Rebbe doesn't want to let him in. Why can't they sit down and make the positive and negatives of going into Moshe going into positive, negative, him not going in, and make a decision and work together? Why do they have to work? Moshe has to beg, and he says to him to go in. Now, if looking in the commentaries, interesting. Some say he didn't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. Why not? Explain also why not. Because his generation, the people who came out from Mitzrayim, died in the desert. So he said, I'm not going into Eretz Yisrael myself, without my generation. A shepherd never leaves his flock. I'm staying here with my generation till I'll be able to take them to Eretz Yisrael. Be it till Mashiach come, or be it till Mashiach come. I'm not going myself. So really, he didn't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. Or you could argue, no, he wanted to go, but he wanted to go with everybody together. But that doesn't say. It says he has for himself. And even then, why David didn't give him in? If he wants to go in with his nation, I'm going with his nation. Another explanation why he didn't want to go in, what it says in the commentaries, because if Moshe Rabbeinu was going to Eretz and he would build the Beis Hamikdash, the Beis Hamikdash would be indestructible. It says, Maaseh Moshe Nitzchim. Whatever Moshe is making is forever, eternal. Now we know when the Jewish people sinned, Hashem destroyed the Beis Hamikdash. And it says, Shafach Hamoseh al ha'etzim ve'al ha'avonim. He poured his anger on the wood and on the stones from the Beis Hamikdash, and that took away from punishment from the Jewish people to a certain degree, at least. So, if Moshe Rabbeinu would build the Beis Hamikdash, wouldn't be able to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, then would be poured more on the Jewish people. Now, I think that needs a lot of explanation. First of all, how does pouring the anger out on the eitzim and the avonim, the 8 trees and the wood and the stones, takes away from punishing the Eden? How does it work? What is the logic of that? Because he poured out his anger. Let's put like somebody poured out his anger, he broke out a vessel, then he comes down a little bit, Chaz v'shalom, to say about the Eibishter. So again, so this is say that that's why Moshe Rabbeinu really did not want to go in, because that would be worse for the Jewish people. But that it's an explanation why. I mean, anyway, they sin plenty, and will still be the problem when it comes. It's going to not to punish the Jewish people so much. Especially we're saying with his pouring his anger on the eitzim and the avonim, on the trees and the wood and the stones. Unfortunately, tremendous torture was happening, and many tens of thousands of people died, even hundreds of thousands of people. So where do we see that it helped? How is it going to be worse? God forbid. Why should? And how is that helping? Then there is Adam before Hashem would say that Moshe Rabbeinu, if he would have gone into Eretz, he wanted to go into Eretz. If he would have gone into Eretz, not down the point why he wanted to go into Eretz. First, we said that some reason why he shouldn't have gone into Eretz. Then the question is, so why did he ask? If you don't want to go into Eretz, because you want to stay with your people, because there will not be the concept of Hashem will pour out his anger on the stones and the wood of the Beis Hamikdash. So if whatever your reason is for not going in, so why are you asking to go in 515 times? A big number. Now some first say that he wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael, really. As it comes to the pshat. Why? Because if he would have gone into Eretz Yisrael and he would build the Beis Hamikdash, then would be Mashiach's time. But Moshe Rabbeinu was the higher level. Says like Moshe was like the sun and Yeshua was like the moon. Moshe was Chochmah Atzilas. If he would take the in out in Eretz Yisrael, he would never go into exile. So that sounds like a very good reason. So first we have to decide, was it going to be good or not going to be good? How did he want to go in or he didn't want to go in? One say we say he wanted to go in, another say he doesn't want to go in, and the Eibishter doesn't want him to go in. So why can't they communicate? Make a meeting, put everything on the table, especially that we know, I don't know if they say that, but the Eibishter knew the whole plan out, everything he knew what happened till the end of days, forever. And he showed Moshe Rabbeinu what would be at the Yom Ha'achin, at the Yom Ha'achin, until the end of days what will happen. So they saw what's going to happen. Because it was the point in arguing. So the plan was already laid out from before for the best possible plan. So what is the idea of now having like a whole idea that Moshe Rabbeinu is asking the Eibishter 500, just talk about it all happening the last year, 550 times asking. Because they hit the rock, was also by the end, after Miriam died, that was only 48 years. So, the question, did Moshe Rabbeinu really want to go in, or he didn't want to go in? The Eibishter, what's happening? Why do you have to see Eretz Yisrael? Why didn't he go into Eretz Yisrael just as a spy, get dressed? I don't know if you recognize him, go into Eretz Yisrael and see Eretz Yisrael, but not. But by the end, we're saying Hashem showed them Eretz Yisrael, That looks like a very important. He said, you're asking me to see Eretz Yisrael? I'll give you to go up to the mountain. You're not going in, but we'll see the Eretz Yisrael. Why are we telling us? Why would Moshe Rabbeinu so much wanted to see Eretz Yisrael? In other words, there must be something. Is it Moshe's wanting to go to Eretz Yisrael is officially because he wanted to do the mitzvahs that you could do in Eretz Yisrael? Was that a selfish thing for his doing more mitzvahs, becoming in a higher level? Or if it's the classic Moshe Rabbeinu, the whole reason why he asked for going to Yisrael is for the sake of the Jewish people. Now we see another interesting thing, but we get to that saying that the Eibush to help you to conquer tremendous, powerful nations, Sichon and Eig, and the nations in that are very powerful, and Hashem will give you the land, and you still don't believe it, still cannot bring yourself to believe in Him. So first of all, why are you telling them they're going into a soul to fight? Why tell them how strong they are and how great they are? What is that? What is that meant to be? Another question we can say, why is he rebuking them? The people who sinned was the parents. So what do you want them to do about it? Nothing they could do about it, but the parents, all the Avera that said in Parshas Dvorim, what is it? Okay. So the main question is, as I said, something doesn't look right. Moshe wants, he doesn't want, unfortunately he didn't want, he didn't want. Rabbi doesn't want him to go, but then Rabbi wants him to show him Eretz Yisrael. And what will be better for the Jews? So we're saying they should have sat down and make a pro and cons list of what's going to happen. That means we are missing here something, a foundation, a core idea what's happening here. But that's where all this question comes in. You could ask another 100 questions if you want. Every pasuk over there, you can ask a few questions. Right? But the questions are based because we have something wrong here. The basis, the premise is wrong. But Moshe wants to go into the Son, the Rebbe is telling him, no, that's a wrong premise. It cannot be that Moshe should beg the Rebbe and the Rebbe should say no to him. The Rebbe is good to everybody. For sure, for Moshe Rabbeinu, for sure Moshe Rabbeinu did true. For sure Moshe Rabbeinu that he did so much. The Rebbe cannot say no to Moshe Rabbeinu. No way. Secondly, Moshe Rabbeinu, no, if Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbe has a good reason why no, he would tell to Moshe Rabbeinu instead of let him waste his time and ask him 515 times. Tell him why you cannot go. It's not Moshe Rabbeinu, listen to me. You want to go into the sword because you think it's better for the Jewish people. I'm telling you, it's not bad. I'll explain to you. I'll explain to him. You explain them everything. Even the Pora Aduma, this red calf that nobody understood, the Mishlei could understand. The Rebbe said, "L'chani megalti." Moshe Rabbeinu explained. Moshe Rabbeinu is chacham datzilus. Explain him. So our premise that Moshe Rabbeinu is begging, and the Rebbe is saying no, cannot be such a thing. In other words, the idea of Shechina medaberes mit Greine, that the Shechina is speaking from the mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu. So every word that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, is still really the Eibush is saying it, applies to that also. So in almost like saying the Eibush himself begged himself to go into Eretz Yisrael. So that. Okay. So let's see, what is the whole purpose, right? That, and something sounds wrong, that every test they had, they failed. And you still don't believe in the Eibush. It's telling them in this Parshas. Believing is not something you can have a choice in that. It's not this choice, I believe. Either I believe or I don't believe. It has to come. If all these miracles, how many miracles, Matan Torah, talking about the generation that is, first of all, is rebuking the children, but I think about the people that have, if it didn't help, means something is wrong here in the system here. It's not that they decided we're not going to believe. I'm sure they wanted to believe, they wish to believe. So we mentioned it before, the idea. The whole purpose from the beginning of the Jewish nation till the time of Mashiach is going into one direction. It's accomplishing, constantly going in the essence of the Eibishter, that the essence of kindness is going positively upwards. No matter what it looks like externally, but it's going up. We're becoming better and bigger and greater. Let's take another point we're saying here. As we're mentioning many times, in schus of our forefathers, Hashem will forgive us. Could you explain how it works? Our forefathers were 3,500 years, over 3,000 years ago, 3,300 years ago, 3,500 years ago. How is their good merit helping us to forgive us? And we see it didn't help in history. There was destruction. The first temple, the second temple, all the tzar's bed, all this didn't work. So what means that the schus of the forefathers helps or doesn't help? But I'm asking now, how could it help? They were tzaddikim 150 generations ago. So therefore, we shouldn't be punished the children when they misbehave. You have to get a punishment, they get a punishment. If you get refinement, whatever you explain, the punishment is, as we explained it last week, I think. So how does the obvious help us in that? In their schus, in their merit, we shouldn't be punished. Why not? Because it was so nice. So therefore, you should be nice to the children. First of all, being nice to the children, you're doing damage. So they'll sin more. The Rabbi would create the world only with midas chesed, the attribute of chesed, and it would be a terrible world because the Rabbi would forgive everybody and everybody would be doing whatever they want. So the idea that there's no free lunch, in a way, is a positive thing. It's a simple pshat. Okay, so as we said, there's no such thing that Meishi should ask the Eibishter. The Eibishter should say, no, the Rebbe says, Rachum, Vaeschanan, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed. All the essence of goodness and goodness only. It doesn't have anything else out of goodness. Even things that don't look revealed good, to explain the Chassidus and the Kabbalah, that is really a deeper level of goodness, of kindness, in a higher level of kindness. And only when Mashiach comes, we'll see it. So they're not. And therefore, you see the contradiction here. Yesh Rabbeinu wanted and he didn't want. Some of us say he really wanted and say he really didn't want. So what we have to understand here is as follows. Let's start going back to the others. How in this merit of the others, we would be forgiven. So it's not like simple that looks like it, because our forefather was so great and so kind, so therefore forgive us. No. Because they are our others, they are our forefathers, therefore we inherited from them who they are. Who are we? We are the children of our forefathers. Explain it. When he's saying we are children of the Eibishter, of our forefathers, so okay, they were clever. So are we so clever as them? No. Why? Because that's not the essence of them to be clever. Let's say they were kind. Are we also kind? Not necessarily. They knew an unbelievable amount of Torah. Therefore, we know unbelievable. No, you're not inheriting things to an additional things by a person, like information. Children, your father could be a big guy, no shas, and the child will not know it automatically. He has a better chance that his father will help him to work on it, but you don't inherit the information. Even the character traits, it's more moving over from generation to generation. If the parents are kind people, a bigger chance that the children will be kind, but also not forever, for 100 generations. And not for everybody. Some will be, some will not be. But something that's deeper in the parents moves over. The only thing that moves over from generation to generation is that the parents are people, not animals. Therefore, the children forever, grandchildren and grandchildren forever, will be people. They will not be animals. The grandchildren of animals will be animals and never become people. And they'll never become vegetables. In other words, the fact that a person is a human being is much deeper in him. It's absolutely, that's him, than he's kind, or there is information that he has, or how he has friends, that he loves friends, or there is whatever. And therefore, so the essence of the parents, that he's a human being, that goes over to the children forever. That cannot change. A human being will not give birth to an animal. And they could look like, but behave like. So therefore, our obvious, the love for the Eibishter, and the neshama that they had, that's a chelek elekam mal mamish, that's part of the Eibishter mamish, that's what the Jew is. That's who they are. A Jew is not a non-Jew plus has put him in something a bit better than neshama. No, he is a chelek elekam mal mamish. That's what he is. And therefore, that idea comes over for generations. So it cannot be a Jew without, that his neshama is not part of the Eibishter. And therefore, because he's part of the Eibishter, therefore he has an essence love for the Eibishter, because that's part of him. It's not a revelation of the Eibishter, understanding of the Eibishter. No matter how far he is, could be, doesn't even know that he's a Jew. In essence, he's part of the Eibishter, and he has a love for the Eibishter. Therefore, what we are saying is that we inherited, because for our children, Hashem should forgive us, because we are chelek of the Eibishter. We are part of the Eibishter. We are a neshama that's a chelek of the Eibishter. And therefore, all what we have to do is just to reveal that in ourselves, no matter how far a person is. To reveal that essence, what he is, that is part of the Eibishter. And therefore, forgive us means that let's reveal that idea that we are one with the Eibishter. And therefore, all the negative that we did against the Eibishter is being erased, because it comes out at all that you love the Eibishter with your whole essence, and you're one with the Eibishter, and you want to do only what the Eibishter wants, as the Rambam Paschals. A Jew wants to do what the Eibishter wants him to do, and that's his essence. Not that something put him to an additional kind of idea. That is the Jew in his essence. So therefore, because we are grandchildren of our forefathers, and our forefathers, that's when Hashem gave them the neshama, there's a chelek elekam imal mamish. The neshama is part of the Eibishter. Therefore, every Jew is that. Every Jew is one with the Eibishter, part of the Eibishter. Therefore, you have to forgive us on everything. Not forgive us and continue to do bad. Forgive us and let's reveal that idea that we are part of the Eibishter. In other words, if something is negative, in core it's a negative, then you have no choice, you have to destroy it. When with something in his essence, if a person sins a tremendous amount of sin, even then his essence never becomes bad. It becomes pretty deeply bad. And that has to be erased. That has to be cleansed. But he remains even b'shas achet, even when he sins, is completely, that essence of his neshama, what's called Yechida, that is one with the Eibishter, remains 100%. So therefore, where do we have that from? From our obvious. Because Hashem gave them, and they revealed it, that the Jew is a chelek elekam imal mamish, that goes over to all generations. So all the cleansing and the punishment are all cleansing in more external levels of the Jew, but in essence he's 100% good. You just have to reveal that from the Jew to the Eibishter, of the Eibishter to the Jew, that essence connection. Now, once we understand that, now we understand that's the purpose of the whole of history. The whole of history is to reveal the essence of the Jew. That's what it's designed for. In other words, Hashem could have made a bigger revelation of godliness, and the Jewish people would be nice, perfect people, be tzaddikim, everybody. Everybody be good people, fine, tzaddikim, no problem. What's wrong with that? I think that would represent the idea of Moshe when taking it into Eretz Yisrael. Make them more tzaddikim. What's the problem with that? That the revelation makes them good people, but you did not manage to penetrate and to reveal the essence connection of the Jew with the Eibishter. And that is revealed only when a person is challenged and is overcoming a challenge, he reveals a deeper connection. But even more, when he's challenged and he fails, and then he does tshuva, he's revealing even a deeper connection. Because why is he doing tshuva? When he was good, he did a sin. Now when his sin is completely covered with sin, right? And the darkness is covering up. How come he's doing tshuva? Because that means that something deeper than the sin could get to is revealed by him. So that's what Moshe Rabbeinu saying, the whole story of the failing from coming out with some, it's all different steps of revealing a deeper level of the Jewish people, how they're connected with the Eibishter. Now, but it's not only the essence of the Jew is one with the Eibishter. It comes out in every different levels. So every level of challenge that they failed showed that you reached one level, but when they're giving you a bigger challenge, you did not reveal the deeper level. So you're failing and then you reveal that. So it's not giving them mussar in how bad they are. If you are so bad, so what are you expecting to not to be suddenly be successful, going to be successful? Giving us a whole list, we failed from A to Z. Why should we now be better? Especially it's not the same people who failed, who saw even Matan Torah. And these people also sinned themselves with Valpeir, with idol worshipping, with the Midianites. So what is he telling them here that gives them the confidence that they'll be successful? The question becomes stronger. Never mind what's the success. The reality of history was that we failed constantly. And Hashem is saying it in Chumash Dvarim, is saying it, that your children will sin again. So what do you want from us? We sinned, we will sin, and we are sinners, and we're not believing. So, okay, so what do you want now? We should change. We press a button, someone say, become a believer 100% and follow the Eibishter. It didn't work today. Why should it work further from now? Especially going to Israel means you separate from the clouds of protecting them, physically and spiritually, the clouds. And Moshe Rabbeinu is separating from him. And the man from heaven, and the word of Miriam. So with all these things we failed, for sure we're going to fail for them all. So what is the story here? And that Moshe Rabbeinu explaining to them. That all your failures are really a success. You failed and then you realize, then you learn from every failure you learn. I will put an example. A teacher is teaching a child, teaching a student, and so he could ask you a test that you'll know 100%. Okay, so you got 100% of the test. The next day, say, okay, now I'm going to give you a different kind of test. Much hard, a little bit harder from what I taught you, something deeper. So you ask, am I going to make it? Say, I don't know, could be yes, could be not, but probably not. So what's the point of that? To know where you are, where you're successful, and to know what is beyond that. And that's how you're going to learn, by failing, and you understand how you have to learn that. Almost through question, when you're asking, like what we did in the beginning, question ask on the whole story here, what's happening. So we understand that that's not the right way, and the premise is something wrong here, and we have to take it to a different level, to a higher level. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them. And that's why he also explains why he's telling the children all the sin of the parents. He's not telling them Lashon Hara. It's not very interesting to hear Lashon Hara. It's a big taiva to speak to hear Lashon Hara. And make you feel good. If they came out from Mitzrayim, they have so Matan Torah, they saw everything, Moshe Rabbeinu, and they're failing, so we are entitled to fail also. Not to feel bad when and that wasn't the point of the whole thing. The point of the whole thing is to explain to them that no matter what happens, you succeed, you fail, it's part of success. That's going to be a way of going up. In Kedusha, a Jew is only going Michael from strength to strength, going up, never go down. That's what you think. Even the descent, as we mentioned many times, is for the ascent and part of the ascent, and really is the ascent. And that's the whole idea of Yiddishkeit, what we're saying. So therefore, if Moshe Rabbeinu was going with them, it would be much better. And therefore, he definitely wanted to go and be better. But then, not necessarily they would be able to get to the bottom of themselves to reveal the absolute essence that they are part of Chelik Elokam Malman, they are Neshama Chelik of the Eibishter. And I think that is also by Tu B'Av coming. Why is the biggest yonter? When the Shvatim, especially with Shevet Binyamin, that they were like in Chayrim, not to marry them, that we could marry them, even though this was such a terrible thing, means there is nothing ever that goes down by Eden for going down. Everything is for going up. And therefore, coming from Tisha B'Av, with the ultimate darkness comes the highest light. Because the more the darkness here, the more it reveals a deeper level of goodness. To the ultimate level, the absolute connection of essence connection. And that's, in other words, not only to reveal the essence of the Jew of the Eibishter, when a person comes, somebody puts a gun to him, says, bow down tonight. I said, no, I'll kill you, kill me, I'm not bowing down. Even it could be a fry person, never did anything through the mitzvahs. That's revealing the essence, but revealing the essence in a pumping like I mean. But to reveal the essence of that, we are one with the Eibishter in our daily behavior. Living in that soul in a normal life, looks like your nature, and you're completely one with the Eibishter and seeing everything godliness. And I would say that's the idea of Tu B'Av, and that's especially our generation. But we're not in danger with doing Torah mitzvahs, but we have bigger darkness than ever. And that overcoming it is by revealing our essence connection with the Eibishter. That's why the Rabbi said he's giving it over to us, because we now have to reveal our essence with the Eibishter, not anymore relying on the Meish Rabbeinu, the Rabbein. Now we have to do it, because we did everything so that we are ready for that. Now we could do it. Is it going to be very easy? Not necessarily. Nothing wrong with being something good, even if we work hard on it. So with that, Tu B'Av is and Yom Kippur is the happiest day of the year. Question of sometimes it says Purim, but whatever, today is for sure Tu B'Av. Be these galos of the Melech Mashiach now, Mamish.